I grew up in Southern California as a first-generation immigrant, and I wanted to stay close to home for undergrad, so I majored in molecular cell developmental biology at UCLA. And then I took the plunge by traveling 3,000 miles away to go to medical school in Boston at Harvard Medical School. And that was also where I discovered my love for ophthalmology. I got to do a lot of research in the laboratory looking at corneal diseases. And that's what really inspired me to apply into ophthalmology. And I did my residency back home in California at USC, Los Angeles County Hospital. And there I decided I wanted to focus on surgery. So not every specialty in ophthalmology focuses on surgery, but cornea and refractive surgery was one of my loves because it allowed me to fix vision, and what greater feeling than to help people see. And so I elected to do fellowship in cornea and refractive surgery. Again on the East Coast, this time in Miami at Bascom Palmer, which is the #1 eye hospital in the world. And I'm just so privileged and fortunate for all the educational opportunities I've had in my journey to ophthalmology. Ophthalmology was really that specialty where I felt like I could help the most people. Being able to perform a life-changing surgery in 20 minutes or less with my hands under the microscope, performing some acrobatic moves is not only fun but so rewarding when you see that patient the next day and they're able to appreciate life and the beauty of it. And I think if you ask most people what their most precious sense is, I think the majority of people will say their sight. And so that was one of the main reasons that I chose ophthalmology, because I felt like I could make the biggest difference in the world. This is a story that I've shared a lot with my followers. When I was in medical school and training, I really felt like women had finally achieved gender equality in medicine. I was just surrounded by powerhouse female attendings, and I really felt like there was nothing that I couldn't do as a woman in medicine. But that sort of all changed once I graduated and entered the real world and real practice of medicine. At one of my very first job interviews, the male senior partner asked me, "When are you planning to get pregnant?" And I was so taken aback because it was for the first time that I realized that I was being judged by my gender, not just by my skill set, and that women had this bias that they had to overcome, that we were seen as being perhaps less productive, more likely to work fewer hours, and that negative bias sort of followed me and actually empowered me and challenged me to take on risks that I otherwise never would have done. So instead of following the footsteps of many of my colleagues and working as an associate and perhaps not being able to practice the way that I wanted, I actually ended up buying a large refractive practice down the street. And now I get to enjoy being my own boss and being an owner of my practice, and I get to operate and see patients on my own terms. And I recently even became a new mom in the middle of a pandemic in 2020, and the flexibility of being my own boss has given me the chance to be a practice owner, be a great surgeon, but also be a great mom to my son. And it's something that I continue to try my best to balance every day. Seeing all these kick-ass female mom physicians really proved to me that women in medicine are super women, and that we should not be seen as inferior to our male counterparts, and that really she can be both. Because I bought into a practice at a fairly young age, I've had some incredible opportunities that many don't get this early on in their stage of career. So I've been able to speak nationally on the latest technologies in ophthalmology. I've gotten to advise companies within the ophthalmology space. I've gotten to publish not only on ophthalmology research, but even in social media. And that's one area that I see us growing a lot in medicine. And I think more people are appreciating the power of social media in healthcare and fighting misinformation and getting the accurate medical information out there to patients and consumers. And like I mentioned, I recently created and launched a podcast called Mend the Gap, which addresses gender disparities. And I've had the honor of working with the top female eye surgeons in the field, and we cover a lot of topics that affect women in medicine today. And I'm just so privileged to be in a position where I can balance all these different passions and to be able to do things that really make me happy and bring me joy.